Maddie and Steve, they set the stage. From classic bouts to the modern age. Every slam, every story, every legacy comes alive with wrestling pedigree. So tune on in, the spotlight's bright. The ring is ready on this podcast night. It's wrestling pedigree.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to a special episode of Wrestling Pedigree Podcast. I'm your host, Matty, and with me is a special episode and a very special guest. And I'm surprised and I'm so happy I got this person with me. Former NXT and TNA wrestler, formerly known as Rich Holland, and I'm trying not to butcher his last name, Luke Menzies.
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 Yeah, it's Menzies, yeah.
So I blame the accent.
I know what it's, mate.
Luke, it's so nice to have you on. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Thank you, and I appreciate you having me on also.
Mate, it's an honor to have you on there. I want to get straight into this because I've been looking forward to this interview. I love my rugby. And I know you played at Salford. I know you played for Halifax and that. Are you still, even though you're based in America and in Florida, do you still watch the rugby?
I don't, to be honest. I have a couple of friends that are still active and still playing in the Super League. But when I stopped playing rugby and started wrestling, I can't remember the last time I watched a game. I'll keep tabs on things, like I follow all the Super League and the NRL on social media, and what I do like, I like it when the players that I used to watch have interviews and podcasts and stuff, like guys like Adrian Morley and obviously people like that do interviews. I like to listen to their stories, but as far as like watching the current game, don't really have time, mate. I'm father of 3, trying to get things off the ground and figure stuff out. So unfortunately, rugby's gone by the wayside.
What made you go for league instead of union? I know people in America will be like, so what the hell they're talking about, but it's such a great difference.
Yeah, it's massive, and it's almost like 2 completely different sports. So just where I'm from, obviously being a lad from the north of England and working class, and rugby league was always the sport that I followed. My dad played, my friends played. I was a huge Bradford Bulls supporter growing up. So it was the only thing that was played in schools and around. We didn't really. It was never an option for me to play rugby union. It was never even a conversation or a thought. It was just always, oh, you're going to play rugby, and the rugby that we played in that area was rugby league.
Before getting into W, were you aiming for like an England spot in rugby league?
I mean, I was just hoping to do the best that I could, and obviously Super League was the goal, and I managed to reach Super League, and then, whatever happened after that happened. But it would have been nice. But honestly, like talent wise, I was a decent player. I was good enough to earn a living. I wasn't a world beater by any means. I was just hard working and pretty physical. But I'm just happy with what I achieved, really, and. I think it was just the kind of the predecessor to the next chapter, really, which obviously was going into wrestling.
What's a rugby habit that you still catch yourself doing backstage or in training?
So I always, if I get a bit nervous, like I still tape my wrists and my thumbs the same that I used to do at rugby. And when I get nervous or anxious, my fingers, it always shows. I always do that. You can see when I used to play, running onto the pitch, I'd always be doing this, and I don't know why. Maybe it's just a little tick that I have. But before I would go out and before the music hit and stuff like that, that would always come back, and I'd always kind of like, I don't know, tap the toe of my boot on the floor behind me. It's just something that I always did when I played. I think it's kind of like that competitive, kind of you getting ready to go into battle type thing,
Oh, that's so. That I've kind of got that kind of similar when I start interviews or shows or episodes. My fingers actually go the same
Oh yeah, yeah.
because
It must be.
I play rugby union for a local team in Bristol, and I'm like, this is this.
Yeah, it must be. It must be a common little tick where just
It's
anxiety or nervousness.
it's. I think when you play rugby, you get used to it.
Yeah.
What was the first performance center drill that made you think, okay, this is different to rugby?
Well, when I first broke in, I was broke in by a gentleman called Marty Jones, who trained William Regal. So before even I got to the PC, I was training. I sought out getting into professional wrestling from literally the ground level. So anything, the first training session that we did, it was just a bunch of blow up drills. He just get us, dead dog tired and blow us up, and we had to earn the right to go in the ring. So obviously in the ring, running the ropes, doing the Brookside shuffles, the high knees in the corner, the up downs, the set goes, all that kind of stuff that Marty would do, and obviously taking my first bump and stuff, it was like I almost think it came really natural to me. Like I had a bit of an acumen for it. Like it was something that I'd watched as a fan and emulated as a kid, and the mechanics and stuff pretty much came relatively easy.
How did you get scouted by WWE? Because usually when it's in the UK, they get talent like, here you go, you could come here. But for someone in your background, it's very rare.
Yeah, well, I think obviously what I've done, I've been training with Marty in Oldham like once a week, wrestling training, and trying to do odd jobs here and there because I've been let go from the rugby club that I did play for, Salford. And then I think Marty, with his connections, thought I had something. He got in contact with Regal, who was still in that scouting role. And WWE was coming over to Glasgow, and they were holding tryouts in Glasgow. So I got an invitation to do a 2-day tryout in Glasgow at the arena there before the show. And it was at the exact same tryout where they were scouting people for the NXT UK TV show. So guys like, Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, John Devlin, all those guys, the Coffees, I think Wolfgang, all those guys were there, and they were all wrestlers, active wrestlers. I was the only one that hadn't had a match. I was still training. So yeah, I remember the first day was promos, medicals, and I think the second day was all physical stuff. But I remember the guy called Canyon Seaman. He came to me, I think it was end of the first day, and asked me how hard it was, to get out of rugby contracts, because I'd just literally just signed for another club. And I said, well, I'll show you. Pretty easy. So yeah, I had an idea that they were kind of interested in me.
Were you a fan of wrestling before you got scouted?
Huge fan. I used to. My initial introduction to wrestling was watching old World of Sport reruns with my nan, from the ages of like 6 and 7. So yeah, initially it was because my nan was from kind of like Halifax, Huddersfield area, same as like the Crabtrees. Yeah. So Shirley, Big Daddy, and Max Crabtree, obviously, who own Joint Promotions, who ran Joint Promotions. They're from that area, and that. So she would always do the Big Daddy easy chants and things like that. And then my first, obviously, we ended up getting Sky, and you see the American kind of version of the wrestling, and obviously Stone Cold's on the screen. So I fell in love with watching him, and he was the main reason why I said, you know what, I'd love to do this.
Was there any local promotions that you went to? Like, I know, like, you go on Sky and there's like WWE, Raw, and that. But was there any local in the Yorkshire area?
I never went to a live wrestling show until I was 22.
Cool.
I went to a live wrestling show in I think it was Sheffield, and it was that time when Bret Hart was came back for a little bit. So I got to see Bret Hart live, and so that was cool. But that was the first time that I've been to a live wrestling show. Yeah, just due to we never had a lot of money growing up and stuff, and there was always other things. There was rugby on weekends and things like that. So It was never came up.
While we're doing this episode, a co-host of mine was supposed to join us, Steve. Unfortunately, work got in the way with us. He wanted to ask you, when you was scouted and signed for WWE and went into NXT, what from Luke to, I think they called you Ridge Holland then, what part of Luke is part of Ridge?
So initially, like if you take the name Ridge Holland out of it, the character initially was, I wanted to pay homage to like kind of like obviously where I'm from, Yorkshire, right? So that's where the flat cap came in, all the old boys and stuff, and I wanted it to be. I always enjoyed the villains. I always enjoyed the heels, right? And that's what I wanted to portray. And so the kind of mixture that I wanted to put in it was a mixture of, if you can imagine, a Yorkshire version of Peaky Blinders, sprinkled sprinkled with a little bit of snatch, so a little bit of Vinnie Jones in there from the Guy Ritchie films and things like that, and then a little bit of Bill Sykes from Oliver. And then top it off a little bit with Lenny McLean as well. So there was quite a selection of people that I'd kind of pulled from to try and get character traits from. And then obviously with the club, the shillelagh that I used to carry, when I actually got into wrestling and started watching a little bit more in depth, Fit Finlay is one of my all-time favourites to watch. So that was kind of like a bit of a tip of the cap, to use a pun, to Fit, really.
What was the first NXT match where you felt like everything clicked for you?
Clicked. It's funny because within wrestling, I don't think anyone feels like it clicks and truly, or at least they're getting it. I mean, it's funny you should ask that because my career kind of had ups and downs and left and rights and stops and starts. But I'd say that I started kind of getting comfortable in my own skin, like literally just before I got released.
Oh no!
So it takes a while and finding who you are and how you want to perform as a wrestler and as a character. And it's hard to go out on a limb because you can get fired at any time. So you obviously want to stay. Obviously, not tread on anyone's toes and be a good soldier and everything like that. And I think that what I did was, because I wanted to do so well in it, I almost kind of strangled my own creativity by not wanting to take any risks, but not wanting to lose this position that we're in pro wrestling because I'd moved over to the States. But to answer your question, yeah, probably like the latter part of my run with WWE is where I started to feel a little bit more comfortable.
Is there anything that this probably be a bit out of order question, but is there anything behind the scenes where agents or creative suggested you do in NXT or above where you think that ain't good for my character or that is good for my character?
I'm trying to think. I mean, the first thing that comes to the head is like that when I got promos written for me, like I talk a certain way. I have certain sayings and things that I would say that Americans wouldn't say, and having an American write for me that's never been in a fight, that's never played pro sports, that's not very physical or has been through what I've been through, it's quite hard for them to write for me. And then it's even more difficult for me to make what they've written sound organic, because without me changing all their words, I couldn't make it sound like I would say it. So it's a fight. It's a difficult task because if you change the writer's promo, it feels like you're disrespecting their work. So again, you're kind of in the rock and a hard place. So you've kind of just got to do your best. Without trying to ruffle any feathers, really.
Did you offer any ideals or anything like that? Say, yeah, this is what I could do.
Yeah, I was really forthcoming with what I would say and what I would do, but it's one of those things where they just don't understand, and if they can't see it, it's not going to see the light of day if they can't see it in their mind's eye and understand it. They won't want it going on TV because they're going to feel like it'll get lost in the shuffle and the audience won't understand. But from my point of view, is like, even if people don't understand, at least you can make it intriguing enough that they listen.
Yeah.
And then they'll get to understand they'll get to understand you as a character and what you say and what certain things mean as you go on. But everyone speaks the same. Nowadays, everyone wrestles the same. So it's just, I think it kind of took away a little bit of my uniqueness as a character.
Just real quick on that. What do you mean by everybody dresses the same?
Well, nowadays everyone's, it's just non-stop. Everyone's doing Spanish flies. Everyone's doing this. Everyone's doing dives. Every match is you can almost say what's going to happen. At certain points of the match, it's like, oh, okay, there's going to be a dive here. Oh, okay, there's going to be this here. There's nothing that really surprises you anymore in wrestling, in a match.
Do you feel that's like strong style, like the Pete Dunne that you work with and Sheamus? Do you feel that style is dying out?
I think that making things look like a contest, I think that's a skill that's dying. I think that's a dying art. Making it like a legit contest is I think that's definitely petering out. And you can have the athletic ability of the guys that do these things is fantastic, and there's a way to do it where it makes sense and it's believable. But if you're going to jump out the ring and do a dive on 5 guys that are waiting for you there, that have been waiting there for 10 seconds, you're going to hit the floor, then jump up and fire up and scream when you've just jumped 10 feet out of the air and landed on the floor, and you don't even register that. I'm kind of like, okay. And everyone does it. It's just, I just think it looks terrible.
You're not the other one. Is there an NXT match that you're really, really proud of? Like, is there an NXT, like, yes, I want to watch that again?
I like the tag match where me and Andre Chase won the tag belts. Although it was short, like all the NXT matches are short, we very rarely get to put time in. But the singles matches that I had with Andre Chase, the one where Chase U disbanded, then the previous one at Halloween Havoc, I enjoyed that. The cage match with Tony D was all right. A couple of things that I wouldn't have done myself, like if I had full control, but it was what it was. That stands out. I had a good little one with Stacks that never really saw the light of day. But yeah, I mean, I didn't really get to wrestle as much as I wanted to. But those are the kind of ones that stand out to me.
Was it like wrestling in that PC Performance Center, in that area where all the crowd is like really, really like loud? I think NXT crowd is one of the loudest. It's more than Raw and SmackDown.
Well, it's different. It can be quite soulless because if you think about it, they're the same people week in, week out.
Yeah,
and they think it's their show. They come to that show with a preconceived idea of how they're going to react, as opposed to just sitting there enjoying the show and reacting accordingly. They think they're in control,
Yeah, I gotta say, it's kind of like the Indies sometimes when there's always the recurring audience coming in.
People.
Who contacted you or who approached you saying, yeah, you're getting called up to the main roster?
No one contacted me. I found out when I was watching TV during the draft.
No way.
I was eating my dinner and I was eating my tea, and then I just saw the next addition to SmackDown is Rich Holland. I'd had kind of like a feeling that it was either I was going to get called up or I was going to get fired, because I'd heard that my name had been mentioned. But as far as saying, yeah, you're going up, no one ever definitely said that. It was just until I watched SmackDown, and then that's it. That was it.
What did they pitch to you when you went up to the main roster?
Initially, just that the character thing was, because obviously if you think about it, like I'd had a few injuries and stuff, and my character never got fully fleshed out in NXT due to that. So they had no reference, no booking reference on how to present me. So I think Seamus saw me, saw like a big European lad. I could do something with him, and then from their point of view, it was like, oh, you're going to be a lifelong Seamus fan. You grew up watching him in the pub and this and that, and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, it's an opportunity, you know. I can't balk at it, but I just thought it could have been done a little bit better. I think it would have been. I come in, have a couple of get on over matches. Seamus is watching him backstage on a monitor. He's impressed by my work, and he kind of takes me under his wing. So then we're more equals, as opposed to me being kind of like a simp or a fanboy for Seamus. So I think it would have been better to elevate me that way, and then it just made me a little bit stronger, or a little bit more of a Seamus' equal straight off the bat.
I love that. What was it like working with Pete Dunne and Seamus? Because Seamus, obviously, you know this, in the UK, he is over like Rover.
Yeah, he's Hall of Fame career. You know, he's coming up on 20 years now in the top flight in WWE. So he's, you know, his resume speaks for itself. You know, multiple time world champion, and you know he's been there, done it. Pete, for my money, is the best in the world at what he does. Like, he's not underrated within the people that know him and within the business. He's not underrated. People know how good he is, but as far as like the viewing audience, they have no clue. Like, he's just his mind and stuff. He's the best. He's the best mind that I've come across in wrestling, and that's why he's doing what he's doing now behind the scenes.
I love seeing Pete, especially when his last match in Bloodsport last week in
I was there. I was watching it. Yeah, I was there in person.
That was an amazing match with Timothy Thatcher.
Yeah.
Was it Timothy Thatcher?
No, it was the
Japanese Okada.
Yeah. It was Japanese, yeah.
That was a great match. Troy Dempsey had Timothy Thatcher. That's the one. Yeah. Is there any advice that Seamus gave you? Because he's obviously been a big veteran. Is there any advice he gave you when you came up? It's like, hey, do this, don't do this, don't do this.
Man,
have a Guinness.
Yeah, have a Guinness. Yeah, that was one. Yeah, just have a banger. No, I think it was just basically, you know, be physical, be aggressive, all the things that I wanted to do anyway. No, I can't. There was nothing really that. I mean, it probably helped with kind of like getting set up with how we travelled on the main roster, so making towns and, you know, how to book your stuff, how to book your own hotels and your rental cars and things like that. The more logistical stuff. But as far as that lessons, he always led by example. Like he would, just by how he performed in matches and how his passion showed through. Like, he always wanted to go out there and put on, in his eyes, the best match on the card. So it's hard not to. It's hard for that kind of what's the word, for that exuberance and passion not to be contagious.
Yeah. When you go on the UK tours, do you feel like, do you expect a big reception for you, Seamus, Pete, and all the rest of the guys when they come to like Cardiff and Yorkshire and north and south of the UK?
Yeah, I mean, I never actually got to wrestle in Yorkshire in my WWE career, which is a shame, really. It's one of my biggest kind of like what ifs. But as far as like the other towns, because they don't see us live so often, the reception's always great. It doesn't matter who you are. But I think when we got to the point where we were kind of over as a trio, we had great reactions. You know, I think we brought an element of fun. Like, people used to like watching us. We had a decent act, you know. It wasn't just the wrestling; it was all the outside shenanigans. It was the entrance, you know. And there was a dynamic with me and Pete, and me being kind of like his handler and making sure that he didn't, you know, rip anyone's head off for real. So we always had a good reaction. Even like Paris, like when we go to like Paris, the crowd there is awesome. And like anywhere in the UK, really, is their own chants and stuff. It's always great. Like, there's nothing like a UK crowd.
I always want to know your thoughts how someone that's lived the big time, which is WWE. When you see fans, have we seen this last week, and you probably seen this when you was at WrestleMania week, where fans overstep the mark, approaching in stupid places, kind of like hotels and bathrooms.
Mhm.
Did you experience that when you were with WWE, when you were in the UK or anything like that, where they're overstep the mark, like, "Hey, Rich, can I have your autograph while you're out taking a piss or something?"
I had that actually in Vegas when I was there last week. Yeah, I had that.
No way.
I was in a restaurant just down from the Horseshoe Hotel, and I had four young, not young lads, but four like 23-year-old, I want to say, follow me into the bathroom. And while I was taking a leak, they asked me for a picture. I said, "Hang on a minute, fellas, let me just put my old man away, and we can take a picture." But you know, I'm laid back, man.
Yeah.
I'm chilled, so I understand it from their point. It's just you just got to educate them and say, "Listen, like I'm cool, but you're gonna come if you do this to someone else, you're probably gonna get a scolding. So just in time, just ask outside of the bathroom and pick your moments wisely. Like when someone's having a meal and stuff, and someone's eating, if they're with family or friends, maybe leave until they're getting the check. You know, just do your due diligence like that, and just have some courtesy. Um, but for the most part, all my fan interactions while I was with the company were outstanding. I never had a bad experience. Never.
I remember 2022, 23, one or the other. It was a Clash at the Castle in Cardiff. And I saw you on the Cardiff High Street. And in my head, you hear the stories like they were perch wrestlers, they were perch wrestlers. I literally saw you, and I was like, "Oh shit, that's Rich Holland." And then I was like, "Yeah, I can't go up to him because I'm too afraid I'll get I'll disturb him and that." So literally, there are some fans, including myself, that are like, "Ooh, do I want to punch him and disrupt his day?"
I mean, at the end of the day, regardless of what you do, who you are, we're all human beings, right? And
Yeah,
it's nice to be nice. So as long as people are polite and stuff, and I like talking to people. I like taking time out of day, and obviously if I can make someone happy and shine a little bit of a light on someone's day and make them smile a little bit, I'll do that. So no, man, I'm not one of those people where you have to be afraid of approaching.
I call that the Yorkshire attitude.
Attitude.
It's gotta be, yeah. It's gotta be that. Like I've had some friends who unfortunately are Leeds United fans that are literally kind of like that way, or whole
Yeah.
City fans where they're just
Oh no, no,
they're
I'm
just
not.
happy and glary, and like I banter with them and they're like, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that's all it is. A bit of banter, you know. I don't have a. I'm not. I don't. My temper. It takes a lot to get me riled up, and as far as like with fans and stuff, I'm grateful for the conversation.
Is there a match on the main roster where you like, yeah, that's my standout moment. Uh, that match or that moment I'm so proud of.
Um, Man, I think like as a trio, I think the street fight that we had with Imperium,
Oh yeah,
Extreme Rules. Yeah, I think we had a couple of I had a couple of good outings in like like random tags on SmackDown, like against Pretty Deadly and the Usos, things like that. Judgment Day, um, but it was weird. I don't think I ever really shone in that group. I just think it was just circumstance. Plus everything that went on as well. I was struggling with confidence issues and things, so I don't really think I I proved my worth at all really because just that was how I was feeling and what had gone on and injuries and setbacks and whatnot and things like that. So I mean, there's the War Games match. There's
yeah.
like I said, the Extreme Rules match. I like the match in Saudi for the tag team titles against the Usos. It was a little rushed because we were worried about time. But a lot of the things that I enjoyed was on the house shows were untelevised, where you could have a little bit more freedom. So like we actually worked the Usos quite a lot on house shows. You know, going around cities with those guys, and we had some really fun times. Those guys, Street Profits. think who else.
I think I see. I think I seen you guys in Cardiff on a live show against the Street Profits. That was a phenomenal match where it's so underrated. It was so fun to watch.
Yeah, they're a couple of good dudes, up for anything, and it's so easy to work. Anytime we're in there with another tag team that's brings the energy, and it's a good. We have good chemistry. We had good chemistry with the Usos. We had good chemistry with the Street Profits, and it's always nice to get in there with someone who wants to go out there and put on a good show.
I have to ask this because I think my co-host would have said it, Steve. He would have asked you this. What was your reaction when they changed Pete Dunne to Butch?
The same as everyone else. I was
What
like,
now?
you've got this guy who's got a kind of like a who's who of people that he's worked and matches that he's had, and a whole career backlog of great matches and action and stuff, and he built that name, from the UK, from the ground up. He built the Pete Dunne name, and then just to kind of throw it all away and call him Butch, but testament to the type of performer that Pete is. Even though he didn't like it, didn't truly understand it at first, he dove in with 2 feet and he got it over, and he was probably the most over member of the group. He was getting wild reactions, and sometimes he weren't even wrestling. He'd just be on the outside. So it's the old thing, and you got to make chicken salad out of chicken. You know what? So,
Yeah, I know.
and he did that.
What's your thoughts on what he's doing now with Los Americanos on WWE TV and AAA TV?
It's the same thing. That anything that they give him, he will do to the best of his ability, and he will make it work. It's one thing that I don't worry about is Pete. Like, he's good, and he'll have a job wherever it is, as long as he's prepared to put on his boots, because he is that good, and he'll make anything work. And hopefully one day that people start to realise that and really give him his flowers.
So after that, you got sent back down to NXT. I think you had a really great matches, especially with like Trick and everything. How did they approach you for you to go to TNA?
Well, just to back up a minute, I pitched for myself to go back down to NXT because they weren't doing anything with us. It was after the Big E thing, and I'd much rather try and go reinvent myself back in NXT than sit in catering and wait to get fired. So that's the reason why I went back down to NXT, and then TNA. Basically, I'd gone through. I'd been kind of like the top heel in NXT, and although they were using me to get other people over, they'd not really pulled the trigger. Where I thought that I'd have been a great heel champion to make a babyface. Never really pulled the trigger. I wrestled Trick at Deadline, wrestled Tony D twice for the North American, and then they pulled me off TV for like 4 months with no explanation. I think I had a Battle Royal appearance and all of that. And then after that, I was sent down to Evolve. No reason, no rhyme. And then they just said one Monday, I think I was supposed to go to TNA on the Thursday. They said, "Oh, by the way, you're going down to TNA. We don't know what you're doing, but here's your flights. Here's your hotel. There you go." And then I went down to TNA. I had a decent match with Mike. I thought that that would have been a saving grace for me, because I thought the writing was on the wall. I went down there, had a good showing. Mike's great to work. The kind of environment at TNA is awesome. Really good set of boys and girls. And then the day after, I wrestled Moose in a match, and unfortunately got hurt and required surgery. And then I had the surgery. A week later, I was on honeymoon. I took the family away because my mother had flown over from England to help out with the kids because I was immobile. Yeah. And we'd gone to a resort in Orlando just for a bit of downtime for like 3 nights, 4 days. And then we got there, the kids were going down at the pool, my wife and my mum were down at the pool, and then I got a call saying, "Oh yeah, we're not going to renew your contract when it comes up in 4 weeks." That was as the length and breadth of the conversation. I think I might have said, well, I did say that, I'm hurt, I cannot earn a living. usually the case is that when someone's hurt, you rehab that person and keep paying them until they're healed, and then let them go. And they said no, so that's not going to happen this time. Kind of click, phone down. So I was like, okay, and that was kind of like just my fleeting appearance in TNA. Kind of, it was kind of it was a good experience, I will say, apart from the injury, but it was a positive experience.
You talk about your I'm going on this on release. What's your thoughts on Zoe Stark having, I think, kind of the same release as you?
I think it's bad business practice. I think it shows that you don't care about your talent. It shows that you don't care about the human beings. These people got hurt working for you. You know, although I think Zoe was she's going to get her 90 days, I think, and she's going to get paid for the following 90 days. She's already rehabbed. She's ready to come back. So a little bit of a different situation to me, whereas I was fresh off surgery and had, 7 months of a recovery still to go with no way of earning a paycheck. But I still think that I know there's talk of Santos Escobar being released while still needing tricep surgery and stuff. I just think I just don't think you can treat humans like that, especially when we're putting our bodies on the line for you guys. I think that there needs to be better standards and practices when it comes to looking after talent.
You mentioned this earlier, and I will admit I debated whether to ask this. How did you deal with the heat, the negativity of fans, and everything else with the Big E situation? How did you deal with that? Because I saw this on social media with the IWC and everything else, and I thought, what the hell?
I'm still dealing with it to this day. It was 4 years ago, and that day was the nail in the coffin for my career at WWE. Like I could never seem to get a foothold there, just because of the negative connotations, and I think a few people in the office lost faith in me. And then obviously the fans, they kind of when something like that happens, obviously Big E was so loved, and everyone, he was such a great talent, and the community thought that I took someone away from them. Then obviously I bore the brunt of that, but then you get labelled as like, you're clumsy, you can't wrestle, and you can't do this. I'm like, just because I don't do moonsaults and flips and destroyers and things like that, that don't mean that I can't wrestle. Like you're missing the point. Like these guys don't know what they're watching. Like all these internet marks.
I always say there's always different styles to wrestling. There's probably like 10 styles where it's like a brawler, high flyer, everything like that. So I class you as one of those brawlers, technical wrestlers.
Yeah, and it's just, if everyone wrestles the same, and everyone does the same things, it's like it's a variety show you need. And put it this way, I was a heel, right, and I wanted to be a traditional heel. I wanted to be hated, right. Why would I want to do super fantastic moves that get cheers when I'm a heel? It just doesn't make sense. I've kind of got an old school mentality there, where like, I don't want to be like, I don't want a flashy entrance. I don't want to be liked. My gear doesn't need to be flashy. I just need to go out there and be hated, and have a character that can get heat in the way that I talk and stuff. And if they would have let me talk how I wanted to talk, I would have done. But it just so happens that I could, I just wrestle a different way. A lot of the things that I wanted to work like was take a little bit from Finlay, take a little bit, from Brock, take a little bit from here, there, everywhere. It kind of made my own style.
I compared your style when you were a heel in NXT and TNA. I compared your style to kind of similar to JBL, where you're a brawler, but then you could be no offense, an asshole heel. So it'd be like you beat the out of the face, but then you say, "Look what I've done."
Yeah,
and that's what you were in NXT and TNA, in my opinion. I got to I'll say congratulations though, because 14th of April, you were cleared to wrestle.
Yeah.
If it being cleared feel like a finish line or a start of a new chapter for you now?
Definitely a start of a new chapter, because it's literally starting from ground zero. It's starting again, because if I would have not got injured, but then my contract ran out, I would have been free to work elsewhere straight off the bat.
Yeah.
Whereas now, wrestling moves so fast. 6 or 7 months in the wrestling business is like a lifetime, and if you're not seen for those 6 or 7 months, your kind of your equity diminishes. So now it's a matter of building up the equity again, and showing worth and showing my value, and creating some buzz, and just getting some bookings. So that's the hardest part. And obviously now we've had these latest wave of releases, and they're going to be free to wrestle again in 90 days. So there's definitely competition there to get in there and claim a stake for a few spots with a few promotions, and get bookings. So I'm looking to get the jump on that as we speak.
Did time away, did take away time from being injured made you rethink of how you wrestle or anything like that? Is your style different? When we see you in the ring again, would there be a different style, or just you just kicking on straight away?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much picking up where I've left off. I didn't really use a reckless style. I wasn't like landing on my head or doing anything crazy. It's just not, it's not a risk that I wanted to take. And even it goes to show that the wear and tear that your body takes without wrestling a kind of a more, I wouldn't say dangerous, but a more risky style. Without wrestling that kind of style, your body still gets beat up. But as far as I'm concerned now, it's business as usual. I'm going to do what I'm good at, which is grinding on people and making things look like they hurt. So it's about time to start doing that again.
Is there a checklist of what promotions you want to do? I mean, the indies at the moment, and you've seen this during Mania Week. It's hotter than ever. I mean, I could see you in the UK in Progress, Rev Pro, Brit King, anywhere like that. But in the US, I could see you in Dragon Gate. I could see you in GCW. Is there anything like that in your horizons?
I've got an appearance in Belgium at the 20th of June. I'm coming over to the UK in the summer for 10 days. There'll be some free dates there that I'll be able to pick up. So hopefully maybe I'll put some dates out. Maybe some other promotions can pick me up there and make an appearance. But as far as over here, I'm just advertising myself as I'm available for taking bookings. I want to work anywhere and everywhere. Japan. I have some friends in Japan. I'd love to go over there and mix it up. I'm not. I'm not going to discriminate between any place to work or any person to work. I'm just out here to, one, have fun, and two, show everyone what Luke Menzies is capable of, without coming from underneath the WWE banner and not having that hanging over me.
Absolutely. One last question: if you could freeze one moment in your career and live it for another 10 minutes, which moment would it be?
It's a really good question.
I have one in my pocket. So one question I usually get good at is usually that.
You know what? I think probably that WrestleMania, just wrestling at WrestleMania, or walking, although it was like 90 seconds or 3 minutes or whatever it was, just kind of like making that entrance and actually getting to experience WrestleMania was great. And it's even outside of wrestling, another moment would be just being in the car, driving from towns, just talking and talking business and just setting the world to rights. That's where you kind of you air all your grievances and get all your frustrations out. So there's two there, but yeah.
I know that was the last question, but I need to ask this now because you are a former WE and you are a British awesome wrestler. Should WrestleMania come to the UK?
Yeah, without a doubt. I think the fans deserve it. I think the whole country deserves it. I think that it'll be the fan reception will be great if they don't price everyone out of a ticket. If they stop price gouging and start, pricing a bit more towards families and people the working class people that have always loved wrestling, and start pitching towards those. I think if it comes to the UK, I think it'll be a rip roaring success.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Luke, it was an absolute honor to have you on here. Absolute honor. Follow your career, obviously, throughout NXT to now. I always ask this to all guests and colleagues of mine. Where can people find you to promote yourself?
You can find me on Instagram. It's at Ridge WWE. I can't change my handle yet. Unfortunately, that's still locked. But yeah, at Ridge WWE, and obviously I'm open for wrestling appearances, podcast appearances, bookings, any kind of, and that's contact@lukemenzies.com.
Absolutely, we'll have the link in our description also for anyone that is interested in booking Luke. So from myself and Luke, thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, enjoy professional wrestling.
Cheers, man.